So this was the first SmackDown of 2025 and the first 3-hour SmackDown of this year, because going forward, SmackDown will become a 3-hour television show. And to be honest, at first I was kind of, and I still am to a certain extent, kind of weary of that fact, of the fact that 3 hours, I hope it doesn't become overkill. But as far as tonight's show goes, tonight I will give it a thumbs up. I thought tonight we had a very solid show. We had some solid matches and we had some excellent segments. We had two very excellent in-ring segments. First, we had Cody Rhodes. He came out here. He touted how the fact that, WWE is on a roll as far as a Netflix deal, and as far as like tonight is going to be the first ever 3-hour SmackDown. But he said that he really can't enjoy the festivities around all these events because of one man, and that one man is Kevin Owens. And before he even gets another chance to say a word, out comes Drew McIntyre, which really, popped me, because I love Drew McIntyre. I love the fact of what he's been going around, what he's been doing, what he's been saying. And there's been rumors regarding Drew McIntyre, how the fact that, regarding this transfer window, he might be one of the talents that switches over from Raw to SmackDown and vice versa, which I've been really advocating for this ever since, he lost the Hell in a Cell match against Punk. For him to move over to SmackDown, because I think there's way more opportunities now for him on SmackDown than there is, for him on Raw. And one of the matches is going to be against Cody Rhodes eventually at some point. But tonight, Drew McIntyre came out here and really bizarre. He hugged Cody Rhodes before anything else. And he came out here and he told Cody Rhodes that he's out here trying to help him. He's trying to be on his side. This led to Cody Rhodes essentially responding back to Drew McIntyre, essentially telling him that he doesn't believe his shit. He says he doesn't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. He says if he wants a title match, why not right here, right now? And he starts to get hype, and the crowd is getting hyped. And Drew McIntyre once again reiterates the fact that he's not here to hurt him. He's here to help him. And as Drew McIntyre goes ahead and leaves the ring, he tells Cody Rhodes, just very ominous, a couple words. He tells him just to watch his back. He says, if I were you, I would watch my back. And out of nowhere comes Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens starts attacking him. And there's this moment between Drew and Kevin where they sort of have a brief stare down, almost as of a loose partnership is forming here between these two guys. And immediately what I want to go to is later on there's a segment in the back with the Usos and with Kevin Owens where Jey Uso bumps into Kevin Owens on accident, and Kevin Owens simply just tells Jey Uso to watch his back. So kind of connecting the dots there, that whole watch your back line. So I do think eventually these two guys, Drew and Kevin, will form a partnership. The question is, how do we get somebody like Seth Rollins to join in on that partnership? Does that have to do with the result that's going to happen on January 6th? So overall, I thought the segment was fantastic. I thought it's a great way to introduce Drew McIntyre over to SmackDown. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see Drew McIntyre on SmackDown. The next segment I really want to go over is the Bloodline segment. We had Paul Heyman. He was here sort of unannounced. He showed up here and he essentially ran down how we got to this point for a tribal combat. He ran down the fact that essentially him and Roman prepped Solo Sikoa to be the tribal chief, to be the successor for Roman Reigns, to be the head of the table eventually when Roman Reigns was ready to step down from the head of the table spot, from the head of the WWE. He said everything was going well until WrestleMania 40 when Roman Reigns gave in to temptation and struck Seth Rollins with that steel chair, allowing Cody Rhodes to pick up the W and win the Universal Championship. And he said that Solo Sikoa found his moment there and essentially stole the Ula Fala. And he said that this coming Monday on January 6th, there will be a definitive loser and a definitive winner. And then all of a sudden, Solo Sikoa comes out as Paul Heyman is going to leave the ring. Solo Sikoa comes out and makes it very clear that, he wants Paul Heyman to be out there. He says that he's going to need somebody to hold the Ula Fala, somebody who will be respectful to the Ula Fala, somebody who won't disrespect his family, and that's going to be the Wise Man. And he tells the Wise Man, he says, if Roman Reigns wins, I will acknowledge him. You will put the Ula Fala on Roman Reigns and I will acknowledge him. But then he reiterates, if I win, you will put the Ula Fala on me and you will acknowledge me as the tribal chief and you will be my Wise Man forever. So now what I think this added to the match was it made it unpredictable, because if anybody thought that Roman was winning, maybe they're starting to doubt themselves. And if anybody thought that Solo was winning, now they're starting to doubt themselves as well, because there's a situation where if Roman wins and Solo acknowledges Roman Reigns, then where does that leave Jacob Fatu? You know, because I don't think Jacob Fatu is gonna simply just acknowledge the fact that Roman Reigns is now his tribal chief. I think Jacob Fatu at that point will be pissed off and will have every reason to lash out against Solo, and we'll get that, you know, famous "I hate you, Solo" from Jacob Fatu. But then again, what if Roman Reigns loses and has to acknowledge Solo Sikoa? What does that mean for Roman Reigns? How, you know, it's going to be very unpredictable on January 6th, I think. But I think, if anything, I think the main event sort of tells us where we're going to go for January 6th, because in the main event, we had a 6-man tag team match between Sammy, Jimmy, and Jay against Bloodline 2.0, and Bloodline 2.0 got the W after Drew McIntyre sort of caused a distraction against Jey Uso, and Bloodline 2.0 stood tall, and Solo Sikoa had the Ulafala hoisted around his neckline. And I think that Roman Reigns will end up winning, and we might get the return of The Rock possibly then on January 6th. Also, side note, Jey Uso, mega over, by the way. Jey Uso, I felt like I was watching Jey Uso's entrance for a good 10 minutes before everybody calmed down and whatnot. So that's my little side note. Jey Uso, extremely over. Love it. Love Yeet, man. And also, how could I forget, we had a major title change here tonight. Finally, after what I feel like was months and months and months, Tiffany Stratton finally cashed in her women's Money in the Bank contract against Nia Jax. We had this match against Nia Jax and Naomi built here tonight for a couple weeks. I think it's been built, and we had this match, and to be honest, this was a pretty good match as well. Naomi seems to be really killing it as far as her matches goes, and Nia Jax as well. We did get Tiffany Stratton. She did come out here. She teased the fact that she was going to cash in, but eventually it was revealed to be a ruse between her and Nia Jax, which led to Nia Jax picking up the W. And at this point, when I'm watching this, I am literally just super frustrated over the fact that, like, here we go again. This is what I told myself. I said, here we go again with these bullshit teased in cash-in attempts by Tiffany Stratton. I said this was the perfect moment. I said, when are you gonna have a perfect moment other than this, you know, on the first 3-hour episode of SmackDown, on this big time episode of SmackDown? You know, we have a sold out crowd here. I said, how can you not cash in on this moment? I legitimately was gonna come on here and tell you everything how I'm telling you right now, but then out of nowhere, Tiffany Stratton hits Nia Jax with the briefcase and then hits Candice LeRae, and then she cashes in and she performs the prettiest moonsault, and then 1 2 3, we have the new women's world champion. And I think this was a perfect opportunity, perfect moment here, and I think this was the best moment for her to cash in tonight. The crowd was super red hot. I feel like officially now she's that full-fledged babyface that everybody's been kind of wanting for a couple months now, and I feel like it was a great moment here tonight to finally see that cash in. I feel like was really rewarding for everybody here. And as far as the rest of the card, we had some really solid matches between Shinsuke and Andrade. We had a tag team match against Motor City Machine Guns and DIY. So I feel like overall this was a pretty good episode of SmackDown. I hope they could continue this streak for the next few couple of weeks, because SmackDown now is a 3-hour show, so we have to get used to that, at least for the time being. So I hope they can continue with this sort of hot streak, and it's going to continue with this episode of Raw on Netflix, which we'll be here covering, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a big week, and until next time, take care, y'all, and I'll see y'all later.